Welcome to Imperfectly Human, the podcast where we get real about mental health, messy growth, and being human one day at a time. I'm your host, Rachel, and together we're navigating life's chaos with honesty, compassion, and a little humor. Let's get into it. Hello, my imperfect humans. So glad for you to join us today because I have the lovely Meghan Brooks, and I'm so excited to introduce to you. She's a survivor. She's just a strong ass female, and you just have a great, empowering, and hopeful story.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna turn it over to you, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm thrilled to be here. Gosh, my story.
Yeah, right. I just usually say start wherever you want, but it's so loaded. You basically, I want to know, and I think my listeners would appreciate hearing how you, because you're sober and you're sober for how many years?
15 years.
15 years.
I know.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Crazy.
And first of all, not necessarily just your backstory, but what was the day, what was your bottom that you knew, I can't do this anymore?
Sure. I absolutely. Well,
and did you have more than one bottom?
Yeah, probably one significant bottom.
Okay.
I'm hard-headed as the day is long. So I think that I have the best way and I can figure it out and I can outsmart things, which, I learned in recovery is probably one of the most dangerous. You can't be, what if there's some saying, you can't be too stupid for recovery, but you can be too smart, right? You can try to outthink and try to angle and figure things out. And that was me. I was I'm going to find
How old were you
the
at
way.
that time?
Well, I was started getting into, I went to rehab, probably 27, 28.
Okay.
So well past my prime where the drinking was cute and somewhat manageable. And it's funny saying 15 years. I remember meeting my sponsor, and at the time she had 15 years and she now of course has 30. And I was she must just own AA. I was just insane. She must just she's the madame of the rooms. So AA is part of my story. And, so it started, way back, growing up. Alcoholism does run in my family.
I was going to ask that. Does there? Okay.
Yeah.
Which for my listeners, that does play a big piece. It doesn't mean that because you come from a family of alcoholics, you are going to be, but the predisposition is already there.
Absolutely. I very much respect the genetic component.
Yeah.
So, not an excuse or anything, but I can certainly recognize it was there. I believe I was just born this way.
Right.
I have kind of all the isms. I like to say I've learned more about my sobriety and my disease of addiction in sobriety.
Yeah.
In that I just have
an addictive personality.
Yes.
Probably. I totally,
when there's, why not 2? Why not 4? Of anything, of a workout set, anything. My mind can be I just want more and that'll make me feel better.
Can relate. Totally can relate, which is probably why I never did drugs growing up because I knew my personality and it wasn't one that I knew that dude, if I liked it, I'm in trouble. We're just going to stay away.
Oh, yeah. There was a night in college one time, I'll never forget. I called my friend. He's actually since passed. And I said, what are we doing late night? And he's and he would party just I would always continue to hang around more and more partiers. He was Meghan, it's 5 a.m. Go to bed, because it was always, what's next? What's next? What's the next thing? What are we doing next? Why go to bed ever?
So let me ask you a question before you get into your later story.
Sure.
Did you start drinking as a way to avoid emotions and avoid things? Because everybody thinks oh my God, they had to have the most traumatic thing happen to them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have trauma in your life.
Sure.
That people think of as trauma, right?
Sure.
And so, trauma could be parents getting divorced. That can be traumatic. I'm not negating that. But when people think of trauma and can maybe judge right?
Yeah.
Why somebody should be a drug addict or
Right.
somebody would, it's because they went through this horrific thing that
Right.
they don't even know how they survived it, right?
Sure.
But that's not the case for many people.
No, I mean, I don't, in therapeutic terms, I don't have any big T traumas from
Right.
my childhood.
Okay.
So I didn't have one catastrophic event. Certainly maybe some little T's along
Yeah.
the way. And I don't even remember my first drink. I remember drinking a beer. I don't remember if it was my first one. I was 13 years old. So that was, it's a little young.
Yeah.
And I remember being in middle school, and I was just always the girl, like a little ahead of everyone else,
Right.
a little ahead of the social circle in the sense of like, who's going to try this? Well, Meghan
Right.
probably will.
Where do you fall in the family like line? Do you have siblings?
I'm the firstborn,
Okay.
yes. And I have a younger brother who's about 4.5 years younger than
Okay.
me, whom I adore. And so, yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna do this, and of course I liked it. I don't know, I never, I've heard so many people's stories through the years. I don't remember this overwhelming sense of like calm or, oh, this is how I want to feel for the rest of my life. I just remember it was like, this is what we're doing now. I don't know if it's like an oppositional defiance, like knowing I shouldn't, who
Right.
knows. So I then went off actually at 13 to boarding school.
Okay.
And so that kind of curtailed me just a little bit. Not really. I think there's that.
Did they send you to boarding school because of the drinking?
No, it was my
Okay.
choice. I actually had an
wow.
option. Yeah,
Holy
I came from,
shit.
I live in New England.
You
I'm
chose to
from
go to boarding school?
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, if that gives you any indication.
Okay.
So I had education was a big deal. And, my family knew I wanted to go to, or they wanted me to go to a private school. And there's a lot of boarding schools in New England,
Right.
throughout Massachusetts, Connecticut, everywhere. So, I found a school I liked, and I went. And that's just a different kind of level of partying, right? Because there's a certain affluence in private schools.
Yeah.
So then, instead of drinking maybe in the woods behind your high school, you're drinking at like your friend's summer house,
Right.
or their parents' summer house that they are never in.
And it's not the box kind of shit that you're
Yeah.
drinking for 50 cents. It's probably
Yeah,
higher.
full liquor
Right,
cabinet,
right.
all the things. And so I graduated high school in 1999. So that was
Okay.
right around when like ecstasy was coming out and the clubs and the raves. So that's definitely part of my story.
Okay.
I went down the rabbit hole of substances. There was never really a substance that I was like, oh, I'm never going to do that. I mean, there was
Okay.
along the lines, but then I would always just continue to progress in my disease to where
'Cause
I
you liked
eventually
it so
got to
much.
the point of like, why wouldn't I do that?
Right.
So, because of the boarding school, I had a great education.
Yeah.
I went to UCF in Orlando for my college.
Oh, yay. So did my son.
I love it. I researched like biggest party schools, like on some level.
Oh my God, I love your honesty.
I did. I mean, I literally was like URI, University of Rhode Island, UNH, and then I was like, no, I want warm, and I landed at UCF. And
Wow.
my birthday's in September, so I actually went to college at 17, which
Yeah.
is like,
Same.
yeah, just
I was like
wild.
young. November.
Yeah.
I turned 18 in the middle of my freshman year.
Crazy. And I had a fake ID. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got it senior year in high school. Maureen Ford. I'll never forget the name. If you're
Yeah.
out there, I mean, I knew her sign, her address, her social. It was back when social
Right.
security numbers were on your license.
Right.
Oh my gosh, she did good work for me. But yeah. So I went down to college, and it just continued. Bad decisions. Again, always on the kind of outskirts of being willing to try anything.
So did people approach you during that time in college saying, hey, I think that you
Oh, yeah.
might, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like they were just like oblivious to this.
No.
Like your choices.
And I would continue to just lose that particular friend group,
Right.
Because then it was pills, and then it was cocaine, and then
Okay.
and all of these things in addition to. So
Right.
it was getting kind of wild, and yeah. So I would just lose that friend group, and I continued to just get kind of more and more questionable friends. No offense to them, I was very questionable. As
Well,
you know,
you were choosing people that aligned with what you
Yes.
wanted to do at that time.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So I managed to get through college, and then
And you graduated college?
I did. It took
That's
4.5 years. I changed my
okay.
major probably 4 times.
I did 4.5 years, and I
Right.
didn't have any issues with drugs and alcohol. Just so if that makes you feel any better.
Well, on a side note, during the pandemic, I was like, well, because I went to school for business, I was like, maybe I'll go back and get my MBA. And in my mind, I was like, well, how bad could I have done in college? This is now 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I went through the whole process to get my transcripts. I was just telling the story the other day, and I pulled them up. They send them and everything, and I had failed aerobics senior year. I swear. And people are like, how do you fail? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really remember going. So it's probably
There you go.
the main issue.
I got a D in Rocks for Jocks that they said that every football player, because I was at UF, right? Same.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I'm like, oh, if this is Rocks for Jocks, I'm going to take this class. Can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
I busted my ass in that class, and I still got a D. But somehow, all these other football players that were
They were
well
doing
known,
fine. Yeah.
they did really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, aerobics.
So if you're
my
out there,
most
don't take
class.
those Rocks for Jocks geology at UF, because it's not an easy class.
Yeah.
And apparently you need to show up for aerobics at UCF.
go to class, people.
Right.
So that, I was able to graduate. And then I did, which I learned the phrase, again, in recovery, is like relocation therapy. I just kept moving. So I moved out to Arizona, and I was working in sales there in a garage door company. And then I moved to San Diego, same thing, and just kept bouncing around trying to, in hindsight, really create this life around me. Actually, in San Diego, I got married. I was only married for like 6 months to a year. But I know, add it to the list. And, but I really just I really on some level believed if I could get the house and the dogs
Things would
and the
change.
husband,
You'd be fine.
Yes, I really, really thought that.
I think a lot of people think that way. A lot of people think that if I just have this, if I just make this kind of money, if I just have this kind of partner, then I'll be fine. But you don't realize, like, aside from it being a disease, right? You still take yourself wherever the hell you go.
Yep.
It's not like you're leaving all that shit behind.
No. And I must say, I had, I wasn't working at the time. My husband did well. And I would go to the gym in the mornings. And this is how long ago, when watch Regis and Kathy Lee on my little Stairmaster or whatever elliptical machine was very popular then. And, do my little aerobics class or something. God only knows. And I felt so vacant. And I was like, but this is everything. I'm a 24-year-old stay-at-home dog mom who gets to do whatever I want. And I felt bankrupt.
But that can also be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And I know, because I've worked with a lot of people that they come in and they have this idea that I just want to be taken care of.
Oh.
And that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like being taken, but there's also something to be said for needing to have your own identity.
Yes.
Whether you're married, whether you're in a relationship.
Yep.
And so that you don't feel empty, that you don't feel like, what am I doing? You got to find a purpose, right?
I say all the time, purpose is priceless. I mean,
100%.
Having some sense of, and that's been one of the most profound gifts I've received in recovery, is like, I have a purpose.
Yeah.
I have a reason for being here. And like, I know what that is now. It's helping other people. It's, being an example of a woman in sobriety and just being there when other people need assistance. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it took a while to get there, but
So now you graduate college,
yes.
you get married,
Bebopping around.
bebopping around.
Yeah.
What happened?
So the marriage did not work out. 6 months in, it was pretty obvious that wasn't going to work. So I actually had a lot of friends from Palm Beach County that I had met in Orlando at UCF. So I had been coming to like Boynton Beach, Delray Beach for years at that time. And that's where I knew everybody.
Right.
So my mind was, I'm just going to move back to Delray Beach, Florida, to keep partying, not knowing it's like the recovery capital of the world.
Right?
So that was interesting.
I'm just envisioning you looking at the map and thinking,
like, that.
where am I going to go? UCF was one of the biggest party schools. I'm going to go to Delray to party my ass off, not even knowing that it is literally known as like the sober capital of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So here I came. I packed up my U-Haul And I took my dog, Rocco, my American Bulldog. He is, of course, since passed, but he was like I mean, I had to make amends to him because I was like, the first half of your life was like chaotic. But the second half, he had a good second half.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, moved down here. And I was able to keep partying. But the trouble was that was around 06, 07, 08, give or take. And the pill mills were a thing. And I had dabbled in some like Percocets or something like that in college when people had them, but nothing insane. But that's really when I started regularly taking Roxys and Oxys. And I'm grateful for it now looking back. I think truly I could have stretched out my alcoholism a little bit longer, but the drug addiction was so severe and so obvious.
Right.
I was like violently ill without a medication. So even like that got through the denial in my brain. It was like, this is not something you can explain away and just pretend doesn't exist. Right. So
now, are you working at this time?
Yeah, I continued to get fired from jobs. So
because you couldn't show up?
Yeah, exactly. I was calling in sick quite a bit. Or just, showing up
disheveled.
Yeah, unwell.
Right.
I was taking pills on my way to work.
Now, had you, in this time, and you don't have to answer this, but you did say no questions were off limits. So
none.
Any DUIs along that course?
No.
Right, which is crazy.
Which
and you're
is
lucky,
insane.
Right? So think about that, right?
And I had been pulled over highly intoxicated and looking back, just been let go. Male cops, female cops.
Wow.
It was the night before Thanksgiving. I was in Naples, Florida, and the woman pulled me over. And she ultimately, at the end, I won't do the whole story, but the end was like, just drive straight home. Consider this like a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know if she just didn't want to do the paperwork or whatever. But like I rarely blacked out, and I was like blackout drunk on the way home. And I remember calling my brother because he was home for Thanksgiving too, and be like, I'm getting arrested. Like I was a lunatic. And I was like, how did you not? Thank God I didn't hurt anyone else or myself. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was at the time.
And how long after that did you get sober?
Years.
Right. So maybe if that had you been arrested at that moment, that may have been your bottom.
Maybe.
But it didn't work out that way.
No idea. So
yeah. You were lucky that you didn't hurt yourself or other people.
Out. Yeah. And so just terrifying. And so I continued on with my path, and I did start going to therapy at the time. But again, to fix my life. My life is not good. Things are bad. Mm-hmm. Can you help me, therapist?
So who supported you during the time if you were losing all your jobs?
Well, I got some money in the divorce.
Gotcha.
And I was able to work and then get another job. Like I looked and on paper was employable.
Right.
But then, that was the con, right? Without realizing when I got in there, it was, I wasn't good at my jobs. So I was in therapy, to find out why my life wasn't good. Things weren't working out well. I was just like the classic patient. And I remember her looking at me and saying, maybe you'd stop drinking. And I was like,
that's not the problem.
No, like, I don't. And she's like, I'll never forget this. She was like, well, why can't you consider not drinking? And she let me go on for like 5 minutes. I'm like, what would you bring to the pool? What are you doing at the beach?
Right.
How are you going to go shopping? What are you bringing over to a friend's house? Like bringing liquor was the only like appropriate gift. And she let me go on for 5 minutes. And she goes, all that is probably why you should consider not drinking.
Yeah.
Just consider it. I was like, okay, noted. And so she suggested 12-step meetings. And so I was such an, ass.
Right.
So I went to NA meetings because I was like, I just need to stop this, and this. But I'm never giving up alcohol.
Isn't it funny? So many more people, and I work with plenty of people who are in the recovery, programs.
Sure.
Have a easier time digesting going to NA. Than they do AA.
Yeah.
Because I think, and again, I'm not in the rooms, but working with plenty of people who are dealing with substances, alcohol is so prevalent. It's everywhere, right? It's the thing you do.
100%.
It's like you go, right? I don't drink, right? So when I go and I'll ask for a mocktail, and the sideways looks I get
Yeah.
is like, oh, are you in the rooms? I'm like, why do you have to be in the rooms to enjoy a mocktail?
There's like
Right?
no evidence that alcohol is good in any way. Shape.
Correct.
There's nothing.
Correct. And so at the end of the day, but so many people think that
Yeah.
I can't be an alcoholic, but I can be a drug addict.
Yeah, well, because I was only willing to look at
Right.
that. You know, the drug
Right.
addiction was so clear, but I was like, alcohol for the rest
Right,
of my
for the
life?
rest of my life. Like,
Forget it.
right,
Like, it was
100%.
my best friend. So, naturally, I went in, you know, I went to maybe 2 NA meetings, but I went in late, left early. So finally, I showed up on time once, maybe my 3rd meeting. And they said, well, alcohol is a drug. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work either. So
See ya.
I tried.
I'm relocating someplace else.
So,
Right.
and that was it. And then she suggested I go to treatment. And I was like, oh, I can do that. Because again, looking back in my brain, I was like, I'll just pay someone to get me sober. Like, it's your job now. Fix me. And in 30 days, right? Like, it takes 30 days
Right.
to change your whole life. So I did. I went to treatment. Long story short, I did all the steps. I went here in West Palm Beach, and for about 6 months after treatment, I kept drinking and using, you know, intermittently, still going back to IOP. And finally, one day, I went really, really hungover to my IOP group, intensive outpatient group, at my treatment center. And I had told them I had relapsed like 100 times. And I was like, well, I did it again. I was out in Miami last night drinking and doing drugs. And I was like, well, good talk. I'm going to go to group now. And they were like, you can't go to group anymore, honey. Like, you're disturbing the other patients who like want to get well. And I was like, that's rude. So I'll never forget. They kicked me out. They kicked me out of IOP. And they told me I needed to go back into residential, which the irony is I've been working in treatment now 10 years. I've had these conversations with people, but in my head, I was like, you just want my money. This is
Right,
like,
but this is
a con.
Yeah, I get that. And a lot of people think that.
So,
Because
they
that's the
kicked me
disease
out.
talking.
And I remember calling my boyfriend at the time. I'm like, how rude. Like, they didn't
How
do
could
their
they
job.
not let me come
First
in
of
there
all,
smelling like alcohol, sitting with people who want to get sober? How dare they kick me out?
Like, first of
Don't
all,
they know I want to come?
I paid
Right,
you.
right.
You failed. I would like a refund immediately.
Like a refund.
And this doesn't work. But that was June 16th, 2010, and that's my sobriety date.
Wow.
Yeah, because I probably stayed sober for the first month on spite alone. So I was like, I'll
100%.
show you.
Right.
I'll get sober.
But it worked.
But I had been told just enough. You know, go to the smaller meetings, and this worked for me. Go to women's meetings. Mm-hmm. Go to the smaller meetings in churches and synagogues. Go, you know, actually get there early, not
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
Stay after the meeting. Talk to people.
Even as uncomfortable as that is, because let's be honest, I tell my clients the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's females, like, don't go to the large dual meetings, like co-ed meetings. Go to a small women's meeting.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends who are in the sobriety.
Yep.
I'm happy to connect you.
Yep.
If you'd like,
Yep.
but go early, even if you're there 5 minutes early. And just sit in that chair until it ends, and then sit 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And just try to get a number.
Yeah.
But raise your hand, say you're new.
I was just going to,
You know,
most of the
like,
time.
Yes.
They
Even
ask,
if,
is
no
there
matter
anyone?
how uncomfortable you are.
Yes.
Those people that are sitting in the rooms were in the same spot.
Oh,
You know, and it is, and
Yep.
it's huge. And you know, did you have any issues? I mean, obviously, what kind of boarding? Did you go to the boarding school that was like religious boarding school?
No, not at all. It was
you-
co-ed,
right, okay.
non-religious. Yeah.
But for some people, and maybe you can speak of this a little bit, for some listeners, thinking of AA and the higher power, they struggle with, and
Sure.
I've seen it. Right.
Sure.
And I tell people, like, your higher power doesn't have to be God,
Yeah.
right? Like, your higher power could be the freaking tree that's outside that you
Yeah.
hug every damn day.
Yep.
And just thanking that you didn't have a drink or use
Yeah.
drugs. Like, you could define what your higher power looks like. And
Yeah.
instead of them saying, you know, God, right, replace it. But so
Sure.
many people don't realize that it doesn't have to be just that way.
Yeah. Agreed. And I I didn't grow up. I mean, we went to church. You know, my grandparents, Irish Catholic from Boston, so
Okay.
I had no shot of not being an alcoholic, in my opinion. But my grandparents always went to church, so you know,
Right.
I'd been on and off. I did CCD
Okay.
for a few years when I was younger, but I never had a negative experience.
Right.
So I consider myself blessed in that regard. It was not shoved down my throat. It was not, we're doing this. I didn't have a negative. I was just kind of like neutral.
Okay.
I did believe that, which I have changed in recovery, but I did initially think, especially when I was drinking and using, like, there is a God, but he or she is not going to, like, it would be inappropriate to ask them of anything because of how I'm living my life. Like, it would just be like kind of weird. So I haven't thought of this in a while. I would wish upon a star. Like, you know, when you starlight,
Yeah.
star bright, first star I see tonight,
and
wish like just health and wellness for myself, my family, my friends.
So it's
and
almost
just
like you
keep
felt
it-
some shame for like thinking
Sure.
of God and like praying to him. and-
Sure.
because of, okay.
It's just like, I thought he would be more involved with people who are just like living the right way. You know, like I wasn't deserving of anything. Like,
Right.
how could I ask for anything and be continually like killing myself slowly?
Right.
You know, it just didn't equate in my brain. So I never had like a negative. I didn't come in on a pink cloud, as they say. I wasn't like, oh my God, sobriety's amazing. I was like, this is stupid. But
I'm going to show up.
but my life was
just to show
pretty
you
bad.
that I'm not a problem.
Yes. No, even like the first 2 years, I was like, this is awful. I'm not happy.
Right.
You know, I had moments of happiness. I wasn't worse, but I was definitely not like, oh, this is the greatest,
Right.
you know, thing that's ever happened to me.
And that's important.
Yeah.
If you're listening out there and you struggle with this, I want you to hear that because people think that it's going to be kumbaya, joy
Yeah.
and happiness is going to fill my rainbow
Yeah.
box, but it's
Yeah.
not, especially when you're really trying to give up something that for so long either made you feel less inhibited,
Yeah.
in your mind brought you joy, felt
Yeah.
like happier, but like is also really hard to just not use and not to attend to, like go to.
Yeah.
And so it's okay if it's difficult. It's okay
Yeah.
if it's not,
Yeah.
you know, rainbows and sunshine.
It's, I mean, it sounds so bad to be like, it's going to be challenging, but
Of
it
course,
is. I mean,
right.
it's
going to be
not-
hard.
Yeah, it's certainly not. It's simple, but not easy. You know,
Right.
is something that they say. And I was so lucky and blessed that I got into a group of women who all had significant time. And I didn't fall into the hanging out with people at my level, because actually someone once said this to me. It's like, hang out with people with a lot more time, or else they're going to okay your 60, 90 day decisions,
Right.
which would be like, oh my God, I need a boyfriend, or oh, I'm going to move, or I'm going to buy this
100%.
new car, or you know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh, I don't
Like,
need to go to meetings every
who
day
needs a
anymore.
sponsor? It seems
Right. Who needs to
real
do the 12
aggressive.
steps?
You know?
Right. Exactly.
I'm not going to go to that meeting. I have
Right.
a movie to go to. Yeah.
Right.
So I
That's
was
a
with
really
a
good point.
huge group of women, not huge group, but a group of about 10 women in one of my home groups. It was actually at a synagogue. So I was taking that advice. And they had 30 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Right.
And I needed that.
Yeah.
You know, I needed that to put up with me, because I was like, this is dumb. They're
You
like,
needed somebody that
"Okay,
was going to call
sweetie."
your bullshit out rather than ride it.
Yes.
Like, you know, sign it,
exactly.
right.
Because I'm pretty like manipulative, and still like, I'm still pretty, like, I'm in sales. I've always been this person. I could probably sell anything
Right.
to any, like, I can sell anything as a good idea. Like, just
So you're
give
not
me enough
manipulative.
time.
You're just really good at getting what you want effectively.
Very good at getting what I want. And I don't really take no for an answer. So I'll just keep asking until I find the person.
Right.
But yeah, and I was lucky enough to find women who would tell me how it was, but in a loving, gentle way.
Right.
You know, it was to the point, but it was also with
Some
kindness
gentleness, yeah.
and support. And yeah, I will forever be grateful for that. And I still do all the things. In my 15 years, I've worked the steps in 2 other programs.
I was going to say, how many times have you done the steps? Because people think, oh, one and done. But I'm like, no, I think you might want to.
You wanna revisit.
And I've had people who I work with, and they've been sober and
Yeah.
clean for like 5 years,
Yeah.
but they're still a very angry
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you ever considered
Yeah.
like doing the steps again?
Yeah.
I've already done them. No, I know you've done them. But you're in a different place today.
Yeah.
And your steps may look very different today,
100%.
5 years later, 5 years sober, 5 years clean.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just because you've done it once doesn't mean you can't repeat them.
Yeah. I totally agree. And two things. The biggest miracle for me in earlier sobriety, and continues to be to this day, is taking a sponsee through the steps. I mean, that for me is, because it's so, even non-alcoholics or people in recovery, seeing change in their friends or
Absolutely.
seeing, someone gain self-confidence is so much easier to see in other people than yourself.
Of course.
So taking someone through the steps has been life-changing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
really
that.
wonderful.
And
It's
so
been good.
when you go to now like family functions,
Yeah.
right? How does it, because even sitting here talking about it and using the terminology and calling out like certain pills, like,
Yeah.
is that triggering for you? Is that,
No.
right.
No, because I still do all the steps.
And that's
I do the
piece,
work,
right.
and I stay connected. And it's funny. I was actually with a family member the other day. Not one of my family members, a family member of a patient, and they said, "Well, with 15 years, you still do the meetings and all that." I was like, I have to chuckle. I'm like, yes, I definitely do,
Right.
because I mean, it's still, I feel better. So I'm still doing
yeah.
it for the effect of like,
Of
I
course.
want to do something to feel better. So my home group is on a Saturday morning, and like that sets my weekend up
100%.
for bliss.
So one of my dearest friends who's recently passed, she's like an aunt to me.
Yeah.
And one of my mom's best friends, and I grew up with her, and she was my aunt, and she recently passed, but I got her into Wayside many years ago. I mean, I had like no
great.
experience,
Yeah.
right? But she had reached out and she said, I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I got her over to Wayside and, handed her off. And for her year, she asked if I'd come to the meeting and give her a diet, and I did. And I remember sitting there, and there was a woman who was also picking up her 30-year chip,
Yeah.
right? And she spoke.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing like the little chitter chatter, like 30 years, why is she still coming? I'm like, she's got 30 years because she
Yes.
still comes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, just because you have all this time under the belt,
Yeah.
keep doing what's been working.
Yeah.
Stay connected.
Yeah.
It's, that last time you picked up is not that far, even though there might be decades between it.
Sure.
It's still right behind you.
Sure.
And if you forget that, and that's why I tell my clients, like, just because you have this many years,
Yeah.
don't stop doing what's been effective for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I stay for my thinking, and I love being around a bunch of, in my case, women, like with like-minded, because I can still be like, oh my God, my thinking is so crazy, or like get down on myself for thinking, why am I not here in life, or, anything. It could
Yeah.
be anything, and it really keeps me right-sized, and we can laugh about it. Like my particular group is just really, we laugh a lot.
Right.
So
So did you ever go to co-ed groups?
Yeah. I mean, I have. I went to one even a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was even at a conference last month, and it was a co-ed meeting, every morning before the conference, because, I work in treatment and recovery. And that's just, I mean, they're fine in a pinch or like as an add-on. It's just not my thing. And
Right.
look, there are great men in recovery, but I'm kind of like, get out of my meeting. What are
Yeah.
you doing here?
Right.
Like, you're not supposed to be here.
I get
And that's
that.
just my preference.
Right.
That's just my thing. So
But I do think that it makes it something difficult a little less difficult.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are no temptations. Because let's be honest, the addict mind is always looking for a distraction.
Sure.
Right? And so if you have a cute guy sitting there or somebody that you are attracted to,
Sure.
right? It can be
Right.
tempting and depending. But I really like what you said about that you chose women who intentionally had more time, and not just
Yeah.
like a year or two.
No.
They had like
Yeah.
a lot of time under their belts.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well,
Right.
and like going back to the people who may or may not have a misconception about God or any type of feeling about God and the rooms and all of that is, I still to this day, like someone told me once, it's like God will speak through the people in the meetings. And I believe that. And it's like in early recovery, I had all these feelings. I had no idea how to identify them because I was high or drunk all the time before getting sober. And someone would share something and be like, oh, that's how I feel about that. Oh, that's how that person made me feel at work. And like hearing it from someone else, putting it together. I mean, I was really on the slow bus of like feelings and getting them in line and being able to recognize them and all of those pieces. So, yeah.
And what would you say to somebody who's might be listening that has a thought of like, I'll go when I'm sober and when I'm not using, or when I have a week or 2 weeks or 2 days or an hour, a day. Yeah. What would you say to somebody that might have that thinking and think, I'll just wait?
But like, wait for what? You know, like, and that's where, you know, I've worked in the field for about 10 years, and I'll be pretty blunt with people. You know, I've worked in admissions and marketing and business development, and I've said usually, you know, as plain as day, like by the time you're on the phone or having a personal meeting with me as a potential patient, like things are not going well. Like normal, whatever that is. I don't have any normal friends.
You're not thinking normal about the next drink or the next pill.
Yeah, they're not usually talking to me. Right. And you know, and just if you want to, I mean, there's so many schools of thought on it. It's just difficult now with so many dangerous drugs. You know, it used to be go out and try some controlled drinking, and now, you know, you might never come back. So that's certainly the risk to take. But sure, go to meetings, because whatever little nugget seed might be planted. I mean, look, honestly, going to treatment ruined my drinking. That last night out in Miami before I went to IOP that next day and was like, I was out last night. I was bottle service, like drugs, all the things, and I could not get high. I couldn't get drunk no matter how much I used. And I was like, the party is over. Right. This is not fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Because your tolerance continues to get higher and higher and higher.
And I couldn't even enjoy it because I knew enough about like addiction. And I was like, at that point, I had been trying to control it so much. And I proved to myself I can't control it because obviously, you know, I was out in Miami. And that was a low, like a feeling of
and then
like,
you got fired the next day.
No, I'd already been fired.
I was fired. No, I meant from like kicked out of IOP.
Oh yes. Right. They were like, we can't help you. I was like, okay.
Right.
Jerks.
Right. Did you ever get the refund?
Yeah, no, I didn't. But I worked there for 9 years.
Oh, look at that. Full circle.
Did.
I love that.
I eventually was the director and then the vice president of admissions. So I was the one determining, you know, who's coming in. And
so is it hard for you now that you're on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to like see people who aren't ready? Like you see it clear as day, right?
Yeah.
Like I could see it clear as day, right? When my clients come in and they start talking about like, you know, well, it's a Monday and they're like, well, I'm going to go out Friday and I'm only going to have 2 drinks. And I'm like, is that what a non-alcoholic mind would think of?
Yeah.
Like most people aren't going out planning how many they're going to limit.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So is it something we should look at? Right? They're not ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it hard for you to like see people, meet people that you clearly recognize?
Yeah.
Whether in yourself or them or them and you, like whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not ready.
I don't know if it's selfish or not. I can't be around that very much. I can be, you know, I don't want to be combative. I don't want to confront anyone. I'll be here when you're ready. You know where to find me. I will save a seat for you. But I'm also not here. And that's just for me. I'm not here to like, okay, or like every 3 days when you're hungover, like have a conversation about, oh, my life's falling apart. Well, no shit. You're drunk again. You know, I just...
I don't think it's selfish. I think it's protection. And I also think it's a boundary.
Yeah.
You've set a boundary that I'm not going to rescue you.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for your choices.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I don't think it's selfish.
Yeah.
So now tell us what you're doing on now that you've got almost 16 years.
I know, June. That's insane.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's kind of wild.
That's great. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. What am I doing now?
Yeah.
I still work in the recovery field. I absolutely love it.
And was that intentional? Because that's where you wanted to, again, thinking of who you want to align yourself with.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Makes sense.
Sure. In early recovery, I was working in a gym for a couple years because, I just wanted to, I took all the advice of my sponsor and, I wanted to be able to put my meetings first and my sobriety first. And I didn't want to, get some difficult job because I couldn't have handled it. So I was.
Which is another important thing for people to remember, that sometimes you might need to make an environment shift.
Yes.
Right? Because if your sobriety is the highest priority, working a high pressure job that requires you to work 70 hours a week is going to be challenging in and of itself, let alone trying to get to 90 meetings in 90 days and doing your work with the sponsor. So you might need to take the Medical Leave Act or Family Leave Act or find a different job.
Absolutely. And, I couldn't agree more. I was wished an early recovery early on. And I was like, that's so rude. Why would you? I hate that. And it was my biggest blessing. I didn't get things back quickly. I had to, just humble myself. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
So wait, I didn't ask that question. I was asking and then I got distracted. How did you learn to build trust again with your family? Did they immediately trust you? Did they believe what you were saying? Because that has to be frustrating,
Yes and no. I mean, they're really proud of me. Absolutely. But I really was, they were in Massachusetts. I went to Florida at 17. They moved down to Florida. A couple years later, I moved out to California. Like I was always far away. So they never really got to see the depths, like physically see it.
Right.
I was always just far away, kind of like everything's fine. And I think on some level, you just want to believe your loved ones are fine. So it's like, oh, she's fine. I guess she's fine. Who knows, And so they really, actually that night, a woman pulled me over the night before Thanksgiving in Naples. I was home for Thanksgiving and they saw me that night. And I remember my dad the next day being like, what's going on? Yeah. And I just, oh no, it's just, whatever I said. But they never really saw a lot of me messed up.
Right.
I was always away. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now back to you're in treatment, you're working there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've had the privilege of working in this industry for 10 years now, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I love talking to families, potential patients. I have the utmost respect for that sliver window that you get where everything works out, whether it be potential willingness, time off work, childcare, all of the things, insurance, availability of a bed, all of the things work out to where you can possibly come into treatment or even come into the rooms. Not everyone needs treatment. It makes it a little easier. That's for sure. But
most people do need treatment.
Most do, especially with, any of the withdrawal symptoms and medically monitored detox.
That's dangerous. And I don't think people realize that, that when you are starting to stop using stuff that you've used for maybe a long time.
Sure.
Right? Having that support to go through detox and to go through the withdrawals because they are nasty.
Yeah.
Right? Is important to know, like that you don't have to do that alone.
No.
At all. You don't have to sit like, the movie show you sitting in a room by yourself and you're like shivering
shaking.
and you're having sweats and
absolutely.
And you're throwing up. You don't need to go through that. Like there are ways that they can help alleviate some of that discomfort.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. And just to be around people, even if it is your roommate and the nursing staff and the RAs and the techs. I mean, addiction, especially when it gets to the point of needing treatment, is so isolating. Sometimes it's just nice to be around other humans. And that's a benefit in and of itself. And building
Absolutely.
your tribe and building your
Yeah.
group,
Yeah,
to be
I love
able
that.
to kind of face this.
Right. So, where can people find you if they are listening to this podcast and they are saying, you know what, this resonates with me,
Sure.
and I want to reach out? Maybe I just want to talk to her and just see what my next step might be.
Absolutely. I mean, I work for Guardian Recovery Network. They're fantastic. Our local facility here in Florida is Immersion Recovery. So we bring people in for all levels of care, so through the entire continuum. You can find me there on the website, on Instagram, Meghan Brooks. I'm always
And I'm going to drop
happy.
all those things
Yeah.
in my show notes too.
always happy to talk to a potential person in recovery, their family,
Yeah.
because sometimes, you get the phone calls from the family before you do the patient.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy to provide just a little bit of hope, because I think that's all you can do at the time.
And I think a lot of families need that.
Yeah. Big
So-
time.
Well, I so appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
course.
This is so much fun. And to my imperfect humans, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, rate, and follow me on all platforms. This has been Rachel, and until next time.